Natasha and thank you so much for joining me today. Well, today I am going to be experimenting and showing you several different ways that we can use rub-ons with acetate. Now, rub-ons are so versatile and they stick to so many different surfaces, so we are going to be using acetate today. Now, these are the acetate sheets I use. These are the Hero Arts ones, and these are the ones I choose because they die cut beautifully. I love how sturdy they are. And I just want one type in my craft space ready to go. Now, I have a few different rub-ons here. This one is from Redesign. This is from scrapbook.com. These are the Vintage Scripts rub-ons. So many different companies do these. I actually have a video posted not too long ago where I went into detail about rub-ons and all the different ways that you can use them. They are a very versatile product. This one here is the Hero Arts Transfers, which are also just the same as rub-ons. And this is the Pansies one, which we are going to be using today. So, there are heaps of different ways, and as I said, this one is mainly focusing on acetate, and I wondered if these two would go together nicely here. I was thinking about how I could layer these ones up. So these script ones are kind of feel backgroundy, and then these gorgeous pansies would also be really fun to use. Now, I also have these ones. These are older. These are the birthday ones from scrapbook.com. They are also gorgeous, and I think would work well. But I really can't go past these gorgeous pansies. So there are a couple of sheets of them in here, and there are a lot of pansies to choose from. They have so many different ones. In fact, I saw another one called Ornate frames from Hero Arts, and I'm very tempted to pick that one up because I feel like that would be stunning with some of these images inside of the frames, and even like floating frames. I've got lots of ideas, but anyhow, stick with what's in front of me. Now, with the rub-ons, I find the easiest way to make sure that you don't ruin any others or ruin your project is to cut them apart. They are jam-packed very close together, which is actually something I appreciate because I want value for money. I want more designs on here rather than space in between. That's not good value, so I appreciate a company that makes sure we get as many as we can on here, and I'm just going to cut them apart. Now, there are leaves as well. There are a few different leaves that you could add to. Don't forget with rub-ons that you can absolutely layer these up. You can rub on top of rub-on and it will adhere beautifully. Now, as I said, for this one, I am going to be using the acetate sheet. I am going to put some white cardstock behind it just so that you can see. And actually, in a minute, I'm going to shift to a white sheet just because it's going to protect my desk and it's also going to make it easier for you to see as well. So for this one, I kind of started off with the pansies because I was excited, but I am going to shift to figuring out the sentiment because I want to make sure I leave room. But these are going on with a bone folder. I use a bone folder to give them a light press, although most of these transfers and rub-ons all come with some sort of popsicle stick or, some sort of stick that you can use to adhere them. Honestly, you can use a nail or a finger as well. These ones do not take much to adhere them down really nicely and get a good adhering to the surface, whichever one you're using. It might be paper, it might be glass, it might be acetate, it might be vellum, all the good things. But today we are just focusing on acetate, and I will create a few different cards that you can also recreate with your rub-ons. Now, as I said, I'm just cutting these all apart so that I can kind of grab and go. And even if I don't end up using all of these, I'm happy to pop them back in the packaging. I could even pop them in a wee glassine bag and just pop them in the back to keep them all safe and sound. But as I said, these are going on beautifully. I am trimming the edges rather than folding them around behind for obvious reasons because it is acetate and I want to keep the edges really nice and clean. Now at this point I was like, I need to focus on the sentiment because I need to make sure I'm leaving space. So I have a set of square dies here. Now I'm going to make a frame, but I actually only need one because I will trim around it. So I have a white piece of cardstock. This does already have the Stick It double-sided adhesive on the back, And I particularly love using double-sided adhesive when I am creating a thin frame, and also when I'm using it on acetate, because that means that it's going to have an all-over coverage, and rather than spotty sort of adhesive pieces on the back. So it's going to give a beautiful all-over coverage. Now, because I had a specific person in mind for this one, I'm going to be using the Hunky Dory minis. This says good luck, and this is going to be for a friend of mine, so I cut out the good luck as well. I'll use that with the white cardstock, but then this is how I'm going to create a frame. Now, I'm using my Spellbinders trimmer, my guillotine trimmer, which I love. I've absolutely fallen in love with this, and I can get a thin frame. You don't have to have it this thin by any means. You could make it any width, but that's all you need to do is cut out a square from the center and then cut around it with a trimmer or a guillotine or whatever you have. You could even do it with scissors. Long bladed scissors, I find I get the most even long cuts with. And then I have the words good luck that are going to fit nicely in the center. Now, the good luck does come with a shadow die as well, but actually I'm just happy with the white. And as I said, I'm using the Stick It double-sided adhesive sheets for two reasons. One, as I said, they give that all over adhesion on the back, and so you can't see individual pieces of adhesive through the acetate, but two, because that way I don't have to worry about getting fiddly glue on the back of really tricky little letters. Now, back to it. I'm just going to fill this in. It's going to look almost a little bit like a floating frame. That's what this kind of reminds me of. And I'm just going to fill this in with all the different pansies, making sure I've got some greenery in there. And I didn't plan this out completely the best, but the great thing about this set is that with all these gorgeous little extra leaves and things that they have, I am just going to come back in and fill in any spaces that I still have with those gorgeous little leaves, because on the right hand side there you can see that I've put a pansy there, but I've got a little bit of empty space in next to the sentiment. But there are also some little singular leaves that I will pop in those gaps, and that will fill it nicely. So this is what it looks like. I think this is very, very cool. This is acetate, remember? And for me, I am going to attach this to a white card base this time. We're going to change it up in a minute, but for this one, I have a top folding card for this one, and I'm just going to draw a straight line because otherwise I will get these wonky, that's for sure. And then I will use my little crocodile to grab pop a little small hole. This does a couple of different sizes, but I'm going to use the smaller one. And I've got it set so that it will be the same width in on each side, which is helpful. I'm going to pop a couple of little brads in each one of these. I am going to rub out my pencil line. I just hold this in place, hold the acetate sheet in place, and then punch through those same holes again, just so that I get everything lined up really nicely, because if I do measuring, I'll probably not get it right. If you have watched some of my other videos on my channel, then you'll know that measuring is not generally my thing. Now, speaking of the other videos on my channel, I have more than 1,000 videos now, which is amazing, even to me. But make sure you go and check them out. There will be some suggested at the end of this video that would be great. If you would like to share some of your creations that you have created, I would love to see them, and the best place to do that is over on Facebook. We are called Come Crafting with Natasha, and we have an amazing group of people. Such a great community, very supportive, and heaps of ideas just to scroll through, even if you are a lurker and just like to have a look. Then if you would like more Natasha content, then you can head over to natashafootecreative.com, and I have a website full of new content, more content that is exclusive and won't be here on YouTube. But we are going on to the next card today. Now, this is the Redesign brand. This one is called Exotica, and this is the card that I previously made with these. This is just on regular white cardstock. Rub-ons are absolutely so fabulous and so versatile. But today, I want to use these on a card, but I'm going to use these gorgeous rub-ons with acetate. So it is hard to choose just one. I absolutely could have chosen any of these. They come with 6 very large images. So there's 3 different sheets in here, which gives us so many options. I've chosen this gorgeous flower, and as I said, we are working with acetate. Now, this is an acetate card base. Now I will say I do buy these pre-made just because I find that they can get a really good score on these without ruining the acetate. I don't have a whole lot of luck. I have made my own and I can make my own, but I have some of these pre-folded ones and I very much like them too. This is the 4 1/4 by 5.5 inch size, but there are different sizes, of course. Now, this does hurt my heart just a little bit, but I am going to cut this gorgeous flower up. I know this hurt a little bit, but it's okay. It's going to be worth it because we're going to make the most. This is just one single image that I'm going to use, again, in a different way because we're not just planting it down, but one single image is going to cover the front of this gorgeous card that we're creating. So I'm kind of creating a border again, just because I want the sentiment to go in the center, and again, because everything is acetate, I am making sure to cut everything off the edges rather than folding it around or just, kind of pushing it away with my fingers like I might do with regular cardstock. With the acetate, obviously, you need to be really mindful about what we can see through the back and through the center. So these are, again, a great brand. They have lots of different designs. I will link a few of them down below. I know that this one was on clearance, which made it such a good price. It is a great place to buy things. I purchased this one at scrapbook.com and they have a huge clearance section, so you should definitely go and check that out as well. But give rub-ons a go, give acetate a go. They are 2 challenging items that people often wouldn't put together. Here's another reason to cut off those extra little pieces. They can make great little fillers. When you just want to fill a tiny little empty space, you should just use those extra little pieces that you have cut off. Now, I have cut 4 rectangles from a sheet of paper. These all have double-sided adhesive on the back. And then I'm going to use this one from Gina K. This is the Colossal Coneflower stamp set. I have done so many videos with this. This one was a big favorite of mine. I love these big, gorgeous stacked sentiments. And I also love the big flower, the big leaf, larger leaves. They are great. A really good versatile stamp set. Now I'm going to use some mint tape just on the front one here, and I'm going to block off and create a matting layer without actually having to have a matting layer of cardstock. This is an old trick of mine, but a goodie. I'm going to use a coral blend alcohol ink marker actually, because that is just the color, that's what I had that happened to be the closest in color to the redesigned images that I was using for today. I won't do the border on all of them. I absolutely could have, but it was, didn't seem worth it to me. The front one was the most important, and that color actually matches beautifully. This is part of the Spectrum Noir tri-blend markers. So there's actually 3 markers in every single pen. And then, as I said, I have double-sided adhesive on the back of all of these, so all I need to do is peel this off, and I'm going to plant this pretty much in the center. Now, I do think that you could add some enamel dots or drops. You would have to make sure they are a really strong adhering one to adhere them to acetate and make sure they didn't fall off on their journey. So I'm going to take each one of these and just pick up this little corner. Sometimes a little tool, this is a little pokey tool from scrapbook.com. It does have covers that go on each end, which I really like. But I love that the pointy end for this one is an actual pointy end. It is very sharp but very, very handy to help you lift up the little corners of these sheets here. So I just hold that one on the inside and then flatten it down just so that each one of these 4 layers is completely covered and you can't see any adhesive. You don't need to do this. As I said, it's got a nice covering of adhesive on the back, so it's not too obvious. But here is the second card finished for today. So I hope that you have enjoyed these couple of cards that we've created using acetate and rub-ons together. As I said, it's a great pairing and makes for lots of fun. You could have skipped the acetate on the first one, but I love the fact that people can lift it up and it's more that layer that you can just move around. So thank you so much for joining me. Don't forget to check out the links to the products down below and give me a big thumbs up. Let me know what you prefer to use your rub-ons on in your craft room, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks, bye!